Now it can do other stuff, right? It's not just about filtering and looking at areas and colorizing the model, but I can select a specific part in the model and I can even view the properties that came from the Revit model originally. And so this is really a list of all the different property data that was extracted when the Revit model was published up to Stratus. Now, in addition to that, got a lot of special properties. We call these Stratus properties, and they are generally for a specific part that's selected, Stratus dot part properties. And so I can look at some of the dynamic data that was generated coming from Revit and how it was post processed once it was up into Stratus. I can look at things like, what is this part connected to on one end versus another? Where does it lie in space? And a lot of different things that you can get out of that. Some more useful than others, but just knowing that all of that data exists, that can be a powerful tool when you try and start building out something like a filter or a type of report, right? All of this data is extractable, and that's the key point to understand here. The next thing we'll do is just look at how you can start extracting some of this data in a meaningful way. So let's look at, for instance, this underground conduit, because we're going to be doing a lot with this here coming up shortly. Now I can filter to just that underground content, and then I can do things like running an action. And an action is how you start doing stuff, not just viewing, but actually doing. And from here, I'm going to run a report. What's nice is I can run this report on just the visible elements here or on the whole model. What I'm going to run is a kind of a version of a conduit run schedule on these visible elements. When I click this run for visible, it'll generate this as a CSV. Now, these are custom chosen properties that I wanted to display on this. These are broken out by a feeder ID, and a feeder ID is really just a key that tells you're going from this piece of distribution equipment to this other distribution equipment. And you're going to have some definition for that, what kind of material it is, what kind of size it is, what's the total length on that. And what I'm capturing here, maybe how many bends are included as we go through or propagate through that individual run. Now, this, when we talk, especially when we're coming from Wireworks, we're talking about how do you convert design intent from an electrical engineering perspective into kind of fabrication ready content. And the feeder schedule is really an Excel table formatted version of a single line drawing that's developed by engineering firms. And so this, when we think about what a feeder schedule really is, it's the data that communicates between engineering, fabrication, and the field in a way that gives you a single data point. You can say what's going on with 001A, for instance, and you can reference that all the way back to the schematic drawing that was done by the engineer through kind of design and modeling all the way out to fabrication. So the field is going to get a labeled entity for a thing that was actually designed all the way back in engineering. And so it's pretty powerful to be able to extract this data in a usable format. And I guess that's the essence of this portion here.